What's up, Bishop?
What's going on?
So tell me, bro, how was your life? Where you from?
Life was it's a roller coaster. But I'm from Oceanside, California, North County, San Diego. It's about 45 minutes north of San Diego. Yeah, Oceanside, California.
How were your parents?
Parents are dope. Parents were my dad is his name is Ignacio. He's full Mexican. His parents are from Morelia, Michoacan. They came here in the 50s and then had my dad in LA, in Los Angeles, in San Gabriel Valley, in El Monte. That's where my dad is from originally. My mom got out here. My mom's parents are from, one is from Chattanooga, Tennessee. My grandma's from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Grandpa's from Mobile, Alabama. Back and forth between Chicago and Dayton, Ohio. And my mom got out here to Los Angeles in 1984 after my grandma had got transferred to work at the post office in Los Angeles. And then mom moved to South Central. From South Central, she moved to Hacienda Heights. My parents met in La Puente, which is in San Gabriel Valley. And then, they had me in 95. So, May 15, 1995, my parents.
95, huh?
Yeah, man. I just turned 29.
Happy birthday, bro.
Thank you.
So tell me, bro, how did your rap career start?
Growing up, I had a very, very diverse background with music. My mom is very, very sound with music. She's very knowledgeable about music, and she sang herself. She danced, and my dad really didn't listen to too much music. Kind of had his own things he listened to. My dad being fluent in Spanish, he did listen to a big mix of things. So growing up in the house, I heard both, English and Spanish music. And my mom was just a little bit more in tune with what she liked. So I grew up listening to a lot of hip hop, but also a lot of rock, alternative rock, classic rock. I guess the only thing that we really didn't listen to in the house was country. Later on in life, we listened to like Keith Urban and all these other people, but which kind of translated to me. So my mom, cleaning the house to Aretha Franklin, or even driving and listening to Led Zeppelin. Growing up listening to Tupac, Outkast. Music has kind of just always been a big part of my life because of my mom. And, all my siblings, we kind of just all grew around that as well. So music has always been a big part of my life, whether I'm trying to cope, whether I'm just whatever it is, music gets me through a lot of the day, and situations that I go through. And that kind of became me doing music on my own around the time that I was 15. I grew up singing. I actually didn't start rapping until later, but I always wrote music. So what a lot of people don't know is that freshman and sophomore year in high school, I was actually in chamber choir. So I grew up singing. Singing is a big part of my life, which it kind of helped out a lot with making music and being able to structure songs and things of that nature. So when it came to writing raps, it was like, okay, this is a little bit not easier per se, but I was able to, singing wise, when I create hooks, choruses, I have to find the melody, I have to figure out what tone I'm singing in, things of that nature. So that's kind of how it became. And around 15, 16, started writing music, but I didn't start taking it seriously until I was around 26 years old. I wrote my first full song and recorded it because I was just too busy, gangbanging for all that time.
What was that name of that song?
Brother the Struggle. Yeah, which is actually, it's on my YouTube, it's out. Ended up putting it on my first album, Lord Forgive Me, which was kind of a compilation of things that I did around the time in like 2021. I didn't really have an understanding of quality. So, recording these songs in different people's houses or, not really professional studios, I just kind of put together what I had at the time. I just knew I wanted to put out an album and really showcase that I was able to write these songs. No features, anything. I just really put it out. But I started with 2 songs, just kind of found the beats on YouTube, wrote to them, did my best, and just put it out to the world that, I can make music.
And as of right now, bro, how many albums or songs you got out?
I could probably count songs-wise, but I have let's see, Lord Forgive Me, Mission Ave, Bury Me a G, Gangsta's Paradise. I feel like I'm missing one. But yeah, altogether, 4 or 5 projects. Each project has roughly 10 songs on it. Mission Ave has 4 songs because it was an EP. I did Mission Ave kind of last second. I talked to somebody that, an artist that's also from Oceanside, and he kind of got me to start doing the whole G-Funk, thing. Because when I started it, it was just kind of a little bit more of a modern, conscious rap because I'm a big fan of Kendrick and J. Cole. So I didn't really want to approach the G-Funk side of things because I just kind of felt like it was not my side or, not the sound I was going for. And so I wanted to have a little bit more of a, like I said, a J. Cole kind of sound. But then that kind of changed when I did Mission Ave. I did Mission Ave, I wrote it in about 3 days. So those 4 songs I just kind of did. It was a very different time in my life where I didn't have much. I was just staying, I was kind of couch hopping, but I was with this female, and I wrote 2 of the songs on her couch the last time I stayed at that crib, which is kind of a funny memory, but that was kind of my introduction to G-Funk. And then from there, I just kind of rocked with it. I mean, I listened to G-Funk growing up, all the time. One of the things that I really did listen to was West Coast hip hop, and my mom was really big on that. East Coast hip hop as well, but the West Coast sound I just kind of knew already. So when I made Mission Ave, I released Lord Forgive Me, Mission Ave, and Bury Me a G within the same calendar year. So I released in 2022. I dropped Bury Me a G on January 15th. I dropped Mission Ave on March 4th, and then I took a little bit more time with Bury Me a G because it was a 13 song album, which was handled a little bit more professionally. I dropped that on September 17th, the day that Pac passed. So yeah, I dropped that, and then, within that calendar year, I dropped 3 albums. I was able to, blessed enough to. But Bury Me a G was my first album that was dropped with the label that I'm working with, Mad Strange, and that was, that was kind of the start of where I'm at now.
Definitely doing big things, bro. We've seen you everywhere. Every time I open up my IG, I always see either you rapping, photos from Alex, visuals,
Yeah.
Definitely doing your thing, bro.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what do you think about the Lowrider community, the Chicano community, bro?
I love it. I love being a part of, even seeing it from the outside looking in, growing up around Lowriders and being around the Chicano community. I grew up in a neighborhood that is predominantly Mexican. It was very mixed when I was growing up, but even now, there's a Lowrider car club itself that my uncle Bugsy actually is a vice president for. And it's called Fuerte Car Club out of the east side of Oceanside. And growing up around it and seeing it, I always had an infatuation for it, and it's addicting. It's addicting. At the same time, when it comes to the music and tying into that community, I try to tie into it as much as I can and apply it to the sound and utilize that not so much of an image, but just the culture itself. I feel like a lot of people just kind of see it as an image and nowadays, but it's a whole culture. It's a whole culture of everything from the cars to the way that people dress, to the music that we listen to, including whether it's oldies or funk. Growing up in California, it's a very, very heavy thing to be involved in that, and even if you're not involved in it, you see it. You live around it. You see it. You're somebody that somebody that knows somebody that's around you has a lowrider or is involved with that or listens to oldies or So I mean, I love it. I love it. Chicano. I feel like the idea of or the Chicano community and the Chicano movement. It does tie into lowriding, but it is also on its own. What it's like to be brown in America, as well as the struggles that you go through and things that you have to deal with. There's a lot of different racial tones in America, but California, you grow up around brown people. So the Chicano movement as a whole, it's a beautiful thing it's a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful thing to understand, and really just being tied into your own culture and understanding where you come from. Speaking a language, even though I don't speak it fluently, you know, I still attempt to, because, you know, I love being Mexican. I'm very proud of that, both sides. But at the same time, I feel like the Mexican community doesn't get the love and respect and recognition that they get for being, you know, hard workers and being so talented, and just the art form as a whole. But, you know, and it's, you know, it's a beautiful thing to see and to grow up around.
Definitely. What would you say to these younger guys, bro, that want to become rappers? Or just in music in general?
Man, music in general, it's a beautiful thing. It's an art form. Just make sure that whatever you do, if I was to talk to, I mean, I can't really talk to certain people because, you know, it's different people come from different backgrounds. But if I was to say one thing, I would say it to myself: just put your heart in it. Put your heart in it. Just a younger version of me, I would say just continue to do what you're doing as far as the love for it, and just understand why you're doing it. You know, the why is everything behind, you know, why you're chasing what you do. If there's an inconsistency there, then it's probably a fault in your motivation. And with me, it's my biggest motivation is being one of the best to ever do it. That's my goal overall. You know, when you chase money, like, money comes and goes, but when you chase the money, it keeps running. But when you have these goals in front of you and you accomplish these goals one by one, it's a step towards what you're trying to accomplish overall. So, you know, when you do it for the love of it, it really it shows. It shows. And just make sure that you're consistent with the things that you do, the material that you put out, but also understand the business side of things too. But first and foremost, you have to do it because you love it. Therefore, it doesn't feel like a job. You know, you could be disciplined all you want and not want to go to the studio because you don't feel like doing it. But at the same time, when you love it, it's really just something that you do. Because when I'm down and out, if I'm going through something, I can write a song about what I'm going through, and it's just my outlet. So make sure that that's the same. Don't portray, don't put out an image of something that you're not. Make sure that you stay strong with your message, and that you're consistent with your message, and that whatever you're trying to accomplish, that you really just make it happen.
You have any gang ties?
Gang ties is kind of I would say it's a crazy description of it, but I am a part of an organization. To some people, or what some people would originally know what it is I'm a gangster disciple. To others, it would be called growth and development. You know, it's an organization that originally started in Chicago, that eventually kind of just spread out throughout the nation. That my uncle Soda Pop actually brought out to California in 1994, and started our chapter out there. So kind of to keep it vague, you know, that is what I am and what I represent. And it's been like that since I was 15 years old. And I kind of just pressed a hard line for it. It kind of took me to a lot of dark places, but it also gave me a lot of knowledge as well. A lot of time in the streets, you know, time in the system, you know, time lost to the system, being on probation, and you know, ultimately just losing time and realizing that time is a very, very valuable thing due to this. But that was based off of my own decisions and not anything that anybody told me to do. That was just me being young and, you know, with the mentality that I wanted more respect than anything else, more than money, and just really just trying to put my name out there and doing anything possible to make sure that people understood that, you know, I don't give a fuck. But that was a very young mentality that I had, and it was very immature. And now over time, and, you know, when you go through these certain losses and trials and tribulations in the streets, and, you know, when you're in front of a judge and, you know, you know, face the possibility and, you know, going to prison and catching strikes, and you get documented as a gang member in your city for the things that you've done, you know, you kind of realize that, you know, maybe your actions aren't really worth it, and that you should be doing something more positive on the positive side. So, you know, being a member of an organization or a gang member, you know, so to say, it did teach me a lot. It taught me a lot in life. It taught me a lot about do's and don'ts, even though based off of my upbringing with my mother, I understood the difference between right and wrong and what to do and what not to do. But, you know, being surrounded by people that you kind of look at as a father figure, and, you know, people that are your older homies or your big homies, and they teach you a certain way, and then you just kind of keep pressing that line. You're on the front line every day, no matter what it is, no matter what it takes. So yeah, that's as far as my past and currently, yeah, that's my background on that.
How's life in Oceanside and in LA?
In Oceanside, it's awesome. It's beautiful. It's definitely different than what it used to be. I would say 10 years ago, 12 years ago. There was a heavy gang presence within the times that I was growing up, from all different sides, whether it's Bloods, Crips, Southsiders, and even where I'm from, the GDs. The numbers were very heavy. It was very treacherous growing up. You had people, rest in peace to my friends' relatives who, got caught in the crossfire of things. People that were active gang members, that, or even innocent people that kind of just got caught in everything over time. But that was kind of how Oceanside was, or it still is. There's a lot of things that happen. I grew up in two different neighborhoods in Oceanside, more so the east side, but I grew up in the Deep Valley as well. The Deep Valley at a time when, there was a lot going on and it was very active. Now they've kind of taken everybody off the streets and kind of cleaned things up and changed the look of Oceanside, so it's a lot nicer now. But still, behind the scenes, there's still a lot going on. With my connection with Los Angeles kind of came in later on in the time. Growing up, I was going over there all the time because of my dad and his family, and going to San Gabriel Valley or going to El Monte. My grandma lived in Azusa before she passed away. Los Angeles, I have a heavy connection with Los Angeles, based off the fact that I was going up there a lot as a kid, but I connected with a few people in Los Angeles, the homie Memo, who runs Night of the Blaxican. I ended up tapping it with him later on in my career, and he introduced me to a lot of people. He's a big part of my success. That's a good friend of mine. Being in LA at any time is very, very, very dangerous, and but I kind of look at it as fun. It's just a big ass playground for me, being surrounded by the culture up there as well. It's still heavy in Los Angeles. It's always gonna be, whether it's music, whether it's lowriding, whether it's no matter what it is. Los Angeles is just a great place, and it's a place that I kind of look at as another home, besides Las Vegas. So. Yeah.
What's your next plans?
Next plans is to stay alive and succeed. I ultimately want to get into acting. I took drama classes at a community college down there in Oceanside called Maricosta, with the hopes that one day I do get into acting, that's kind of the next plans. I have an album coming out on July 1st called Mission At 2, which is, probably my magnum opus as far as my work. It's probably the project that I put the most time in, the most effort. There was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that kind of got put into that. A lot of sacrifice, a lot of loss, but also at the same time a lot of learning. There was a lot put into this album, and I could kind of see it getting put together, just kind of being like 3 years in the making, and the features that I have and the connections I was able to make. That's kind of everything that I've put in, and the lyrics that are on the album is kind of my thought process from the last year since I dropped my last album, which I'm not a fan of, and now kind of just putting everything that I have into this, and just understanding that things are going to get better over time. So I'm always looking forward to the next day, how I could be better, how I could become a better version of myself, and just understanding that God has really just put me in this position and blessed me.
Amen. So another question, bro. How is being mixed from two different cultures? I love it. First and foremost, I love it. It's a trip, though. A lot of people. From the beginning, a lot of people kind of wanted me to pick or choose what I was rocking with. A lot of people did attempt to bring politics from the streets into it and try to make me kind of choose up, which really was never an option, never an option. It's like You know, I am what I am, and that's what it is. But I made it understood that, you know, when I do go to jail, I do run black. You know, that's just the political side of it, but you can't really mix the politics into it. It's kind of counterintuitive when you're trying to do better, and you know, people try and kind of tear what you're trying to do apart. But you know, I love it. I love it. Both races, you know, there's a very, very rich history with both of my cultures. Not even just being the race, but just being who I am. In the background that I have, my great grandma was the maid for President Lázaro Cárdenas in 1936 in Mexico, before her son, my grandpa, moved to Los Angeles. So, you know, being that you have this very rich culture, it's not because of where I'm from or what I decide to do doesn't mean that I'm going to shut that out or that I'm going to forget about it. You know, I'm going to add it into what I do, the love that I have for it. I watched my grandpa work hard since I was a child, and you know, from my mom's side, it was a little different with the background, but you know, being able to see these two cultures kind of contribute into making me, and you know, being who I am, you know, I love it. So it's you know, I love being both. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
What else has music brought into your life, bro?
Music has brought me a lot. Music has brought me a lot for the reason that, you know, it's brought me a lot of joy, but it's also taught me a lot in life. It's taught me, you know, motivation and discipline and determination and just how to apply all that. Really just understanding that if I do want something as bad as I say I want it, that I can make it happen. And music has kind of taught me that, you know, I really just need to put my foot on the gas pedal and just go hard with everything I do. And with that, you know, I've been able to create what I have or what I'm gonna have, and within the time that I've been making music, you know, it's brought me a lot of joy, a lot of a sense of accomplishment, but also too, you know, what else can I do in life? How can I be better at everything that I do? So, yeah, it's definitely brought me a lot.
What about what are your inspirations?
Inspirations are very direct. Whether it's my big homies or my parents, seeing my mom work hard, or the things that she taught me as far as music. But a little bit more on some of the broad side, like just musically, there's a lot. I have a lot of inspirations. The Nipsey Hussles, the Tupacs, the Andre 3000s, Jay-Z, Biggie, you know, there's a lot. And even just away from the music, just listening to Tupac and how he speaks and how he articulates things, and he was so young. For him to do everything that he did before the age of 25, you know, before he passed away, it's like, you know, how can you really be so revolutionary and, you know, have the background that you have, you know, and just applying what you learned in life and making a difference. You know, we ultimately want to be the change, you know, you want to be the change that you want to see. And that's kind of one of the biggest things. But I mean, I have a lot of inspirations. I have a lot of inspirations. But musically, I would say those are my direct inspirations. But to, you know, on more of the personal side, you know, the people that I've been around and that have kind of taught me what having a good work ethic is, and just applying, you know, every bit of you, every part of you into what you do, so that way you can be a better version of yourself and you can put something out into the world that's beautiful. So, yeah.
Do you have any kids?
I do. I have a son, one kid, 3 years old. His name is Giovanni Roman Soria. It's my heart and my soul. It's the reason why I do what I do. You know, aside from the goals that I have to be one of the best artists to ever do it, you know, he's the reason why I grind. You know, seeing him smile and just seeing him grow and making sure that I could teach him to be a better person, a well-rounded person and disciplined, and making sure that, you know, he understands the difference between right and wrong and all these little things that I can apply, but also becoming a better version of myself through teaching him. You know, I just got off being fucking 10 months sober, but the two big reasons why I became sober for that long was because I wanted to be a better father, a more present father, and I wanted to be one of the best artists that I could be. The only way to really do that is to cut out any kind of distraction that I had at the time, which would be, ultimately, not having control over my vices and dealing with toxic bitches. You know what I mean? So really to cut those two out, was the best move I could have made.
Does your son see everything that you do, like rapping, music, and everything?
He does. As a matter of fact, he hold on, I have a picture of this little guy. He sees it. He sees it, and he, he loves it too, which is crazy. It's crazy to have that kind of effect on your son. 1 second, I have a picture I can show you. He goes through his iPad and he sees the reels of me, and then he just points at me. So that's my little guy. You know what I mean? He's my world. But he sees what I'm trying to do, and I hope that he applies that to his life as well. That you can really chase your dreams and make anything happen. And I'm gonna make sure that he understands that.
So if he grew up and wanted to be into music, would you support him?
I support it. I support whatever my son wants to do. It doesn't matter. It's his life. And the best thing that I could do as a parent and as a father is to be supportive and give him the right guidance and how to make the things happen that he wants to happen. Because it's not my life. I don't have control over, what he wants to do. And the best thing that I could do is just sit back and watch what he wants to do and just support it 100%, just the way that he should. Because the world's not going to support him the way that I am. And I understand that. So I want him to understand that, go full-fledged and 100%, whatever you do.